Hey guys, Thomas Cecilia Jr. here, aka Mustached. I'm here to review the movie Robin Hood, another adaptation of Robin Hood that came out in 2018, and I do want to apologize in advance. I know I have been falling behind in the movie reviews, but Kingdom Hearts has been taking up the bulk of my channel as of right now in the proceedings to get to Kingdom Hearts 3 on time, so I have been falling behind on Let's Plays and movie reviews, so I figured I'd do a movie review at least every so often. Make sure I'm staying on tip-top shape here. So, just once again, apologies. Anyways, getting to the movie. So the movie starts off with this narration from Tuck, who ends up playing from the classic is a priest, ends up telling the tale of Robin Hood, or I believe his real name is Robin Locksley, and he sees that he is about to get robbed by Marianne, or as I'll just call her for short, Mary. So Robin gets drafted into this war, where he and his team set out to essentially kill a bunch of other guys, but they get ambushed by this ballistic unit. However, Robin, using his skills, is able to time it out and take this guy out. But their team, again, gets surrounded and attacked, and a fight breaks out, and Robin manages to get away. And these opposing members appear to be all wearing these blue uniforms, and one of them apparently wants to fight Robin, but he gets away. As the rest of the squad essentially captures this warrior and his son, the son is killed, and the blue warrior is upset because that was his son, obviously, and Robin tried to stop that as well. And in the process, he decided to change sides and save this blue warrior. But for his efforts, he gets shot in the chest, and then it suddenly abruptly cuts to him on a boat. So he just wakes up and then ends up thinking about Mary and then how they had came together. And when he returns home, his house apparently it was auctioned off or whatever. He had been away too long, so they essentially claimed it, or whatever that word is called. Sorry, I'm not too familiar with that, but anyway. So apparently this had been 2 years in the making of him being away. And Tuck, our little priest narration, talks about what happens next. So he sees that Mary has moved on to this other man. I don't think we ever get his name. At least I don't recall him ever getting a name. But that guy is going to end up coming up later. So anyways, our blue warrior here, well, revealed very shortly, but he essentially yells at Robin as they meet up once again, and the two of them decide to eventually team up to steal away from the nobleman, and particularly this, it's not a nobleman, a sheriff. I kept thinking he was a nobleman. He looked more like a nobleman, but he was a sheriff. So anyways, they want to see where this money is coming from or where it's going, and they see that they're trying to use the money from the people in this war effort. So the man in the blue introduces himself as John, and if anyone knows that name, they know that Robin and John are often seen together. You probably are thinking of the Disney adaptation of Robin Hood, John being the big bear in that version, obviously. He's very laid back in that version, and here he ends up being Robin's tutor, essentially, teaching him how to use a bow way more effectively, how to shorten his time reloading each arrow, how to essentially, spot enemies before or just as soon as they pop up. And this is obviously done through a montage of various pop-ups of guard body things made of wood, and then Robin taking them out with his arrows. So after that, he meets with the sheriff, and he is proceeding to essentially weave his way into the sheriff's good graces, as long as anyone within the church, to see again where that money is coming from. So he's putting on a front, because he started this movie as this rich sort of person, and now he's using that name, that famous name apparently, to get in the good graces of the sheriff. So he bumps into Mary, and they talk very briefly before John hauls him back and away from that situation. So he does end up overhearing Mary talk about how she would wish that he would give to the people instead of just her. So it goes to another montage where he starts to once again steal money, but this time place it among the people. And he's riding through the streets, so the name of or the Hood, as it's named earlier on, that name essentially runs through the streets, and that is getting him more notoriety. He's getting more popular. So, on his little quest to get deeper in, he suggests making this double bounty on the Hood, even though he is the Hood with the sheriff. He's using, again, that name, that alias, his own pre-context of being a rich person to his advantage. So, he's doing his thing, and eventually he gets caught up underneath this area, almost gets caught, or does get caught eventually, and then it goes into this slow-mo as he's killing these guards secretly. So Robin gets out with an assist from John as they are setting fire to help their escape, so that way they are not being chased. So the sheriff meets with the priest, and the priest wants nothing to do with it, and he wants the sheriff to hire these bigger guys that are going to take out, essentially, Robin. But apparently Mary has a plan of her own, and in that time, she's talking with Tuck, the priest, or the confessional man, as I thought he just simply was at that point in time, and then rejoins up with Robin afterwards. So, Tuck passes his key to Mary that he managed to sneak off, and the higher powers meet up, that being the sheriff and the priest, and again, Robin meets up with Tuck and talks about the thief, and he uses Tuck as sort of this scapegoat to get deeper in with the priest and the sheriff, to stay in this room with them, to get more of that information. They learn that these two are planning to pretty much assault the area called the Mines, I believe it was called. So the two of them race over there, and essentially more and more money is now being taken from the people. They think that they're too late, but Robin assures John that they can still do the right thing. And Mary overhears them as they're talking, and then finally reveals that he has become Robin Hood instead of, because essentially putting the two names together, though they don't do that yet. They say that near the end of the movie, obviously. So she's a bit surprised, even though she's like, oh, that wasn't even a great disguise or whatever. So anyways, their ride gets attacked and they have to flee from it. And, so while that's going on, John shits in with the sheriff, getting tortured. He gets caught in the process, trying to hold off the soldiers, and then he gets caught. And in the process of everything getting crazier and crazier, Robin decides to reveal himself to the remaining people. But Mary's current husband or boyfriend or whatever is like, no. But Robin does convince them to join. And the people are given each hoods, and I thought they were going to go with a very obvious, which one's the Robin Hood. They don't really do that, so I didn't really see the point of everyone needing a hood. But anyways, I think it was more like a V for Vendetta sequence. That's the movie I immediately thought of that when I thought of the ending here. Although I would say the V for Vendetta thing actually does make more sense because all the masks look exactly the same and all the hoods in this don't. So I didn't really see a point for everyone getting a hood. Nonetheless, the people set up as the money is starting to travel, and then they start to revolt. And Tuck sets up this oil rig behind these soldiers that are heading toward the revolt, and then the flame is caught, and this box that is containing all the money is pushed underneath the ground, where they have set up an entire underground cavern to set them a path to move the money along. But Robin once again gets shot somehow in the chest again, and he lives a second time. Mary comforts him and ends up kissing him, where the current boyfriend sees all that going down and wants nothing more to do with her after that kiss. So Robin goes up to the streets, and then he says that he is Robin Hood in front of all the soldiers, and he is taken in. But luckily, John has fought his way out and is now among the soldiers, and he makes the sheriff pay. So, we see that they essentially try to set up a future sequel movie where the boyfriend, or the ex-boyfriend, I guess at this point, gets essentially boosted to be the next sheriff, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, but whatever. And then he's giving a warning shot by Robin Hood, and that was the movie, Robin Hood. I do feel like this movie kind of falls apart in several places. The jump cuts kind of make it hard to tell what's going on from point A to point B. The characters, they are slightly different, which I don't mind that much, but I don't feel like they're still given enough time to give us really a clear indication of who these characters are. Like, just an example, I mentioned the boyfriend's, Mary's current, or boyfriend at the point where Robin returned. Like, I never learned his name throughout the entire movie, and then suddenly, after seeing one kiss, he's like, yeah, I'll just join the bad guys. Like, was that really that bad that you felt you needed to join the bad guys' side after trying to convince the very people that, we should play it safe? There's, playing it safe, and then there's, joining the obvious, bad guy who's like, we just want money. So, whatever, and, his face is all burned because he got injured. I would say the most interesting change was probably John, making him sort of this tutor to Robin Hood, and then Robin Hood becoming a more superior fighter. But again, I do think that the movie is far too rushed to give that too much credence. There were a few action scenes, and those are probably the most enjoyable parts whenever Robin Hood would start attacking the soldiers and whatnot. And I do find it interesting how the reload speed can be done in figuring all that stuff out. But, it is done through montage, so again, it's very rushed. So it does feel like a very rushed movie, like they just wanted to get it out there. The characterization has its slight differences, and Mary, again, like, we don't know too much about her except that she was an assassin, and then, she suddenly falls in love with this other guy, and then her kind of role as an assassin kind of takes, like, a long time for that to actually come up in any regard, and it's only, like, to get in deeper into, the sheriff's, like, because she's, like, invited with the guy to get into that fancy place and all that stuff, stuff like that. It takes, like a while for that to have any resolve. Robin is sort of this, I wouldn't say, it's weird having him sort of be a nobleman, and then I guess that kind of has that one advantage of course, like, he can get in, and, of course, when you watch the animated version way back when, Robin had created this sort of improv 2 character, and then he gets revealed, obviously, and all that stuff happens. I think the person who had the most fun in the movie was the sheriff character. I thought, there's this one moment where he actually, and maybe John, I feel like those two are the ones that stick out the most out of all the other characters. Robin Hood, again, I think he has an interesting premise at the very most, but his characterization just kind of falls pretty generically at the end of the day. So I'd give this movie a 5 out of 10. I think it is like a halfway decent movie at the very most. And that's my review of Robin Hood. And if you enjoyed it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out that link in the description or head you over to my Patreon page. Any donations are greatly appreciated. Until next time, everyone, bye!